What's going on, guys? My name is Tommy. Welcome back to the channel, and let me be the first to say, although you've probably heard it before today, I am in fact recording this starting at 6:30 p.m. on December the 27th. Happy 2018, guys. 2017 has been a really big year for me. Probably the biggest change in 2017 by about a mile was my decision to stop working 55 hours a week at a job I hated to go somewhere to work part-time while also putting myself out on the stage that is YouTube and trying to make something of myself on the platform of the content creators. In the about 24 weeks that my channel has been putting out content, we are sitting right now at exactly 7,770 views. I don't know what various people's rise to success and fame and fortune on the internet has been, but I consider this to be a very strong start. And I definitely look forward to what 2018 can bring my channel, my friends in other channels, my family, my fellow gamers who I call family because they are in fact closer to me than my blood. It's going to be an exciting time, and I have to stop and say thank you. Yes, you, that person you can't see me pointing at the screen to point at you, but you, for supporting my channel, for giving me criticism anywhere from trolling to constructive, for showing me that my voice can in fact be heard with the power of the internet. But we're not going to get all sappy here. Yes, it's the new year, but we have stuff to do. With no further ado, this episode of the Forgotten Race Review, in the spirit of the new year, will be about a Pathfinder race that changes as the years go on, first appearing in Inner Sea races, getting a reprint in People of the Stars. Today, we're talking about the Triaxian, or if you're into Starfinder, because these guys were given stats as a player race in the Alien Archive, the Riforian. Hey, speaking of Starfinder, if you guys are into Starfinder lore, you should go check out this channel's first ever patron. Today, of course, this episode was brought to you in part by the Inn of Planar Crossroads. They haven't got very far on their Lorekeeper series in terms of the packed worlds of Starfinder and a history and stuff like that, but you can find it and learn more about that system that actually is pretty fun to hang out in when you ignore the charging monsters that you get stuck in on a jungle planet somewhere. I digress. Here's a link to his Lorekeeper series. Get on it, guys. I am also going to go ahead and note that at 100 subscribers, presently speaking, they're at 82, a member of the Inn of Planar Crossroads, or Francis Root in our Lordly Caliber weekly Pathfinder game, will run a one-shot for you guys over on the Inn of Planar Crossroads. First, you got to get them to 100 subs, and then, hey, maybe, you never know, you might be a part of that game. So, real quick, I'm going to throw another one of these links up there. If you haven't already, drift on over, click that subscribe button, help them out. It would mean the world to them, and through them, it would mean the world to me. Now, speaking of worlds, before we start actually talking about the Triaxian, we should probably talk a little bit about their home planet, Triaxis. Triaxis, dubbed the Wanderer, has an extremely eccentric orbit, and its distance from the sun varies greatly as it traces its really slow path through space. So we all know, especially on today of all days, New Year's Day, there are 365 days in a year on Earth. It takes us 365 days for our planet to travel all the way around the sun. Some people on Earth might say, oh, the years drag on and this year's going by so slow. Yeah, no, I don't want to hear it. On Triaxis, it's 317 years for the planet to complete a full orbit. At its farthest point in Triaxis' journey across the stars, it's little more than a teeny tiny dot out past the gas giants of Galerion's solar system, but at its closest point, Triaxis is the second planet in the solar system, closer even still than the home planet of the Lashunta. We talked about those guys, by the way, right up here. And as that planet moves throughout the great beyond, the seasons change, not just like we might see a little bit of snow and then 6 months later it's 100 degrees out, but in huge ways that affect the entire planet as a whole. In the winter, the planet's civilized races hunker down in castles and towns carved from ice and stone, hunting giant furred insects and snowbirds that live on the plains while burning pale fungi and snow moths to stay warm. The seas of the planet will freeze partway over, and narrow straits will become ice bridges connecting islands and isthmuses. This, of course, with, massive amounts of snow and cold, becomes a really hard time for everyone who lives on the planet. In the spring, Triaxis's glaciers melt and recede in great monsoons, after which those fortunate enough to be born in the spring abandon these castles and forts and stuff to live free and easy in the forests and jungles that essentially spring up overnight. While most of the nations of Triaxis will retain the greatest cities and towns, this is traditionally a time on Triaxis of nomadism for several cultures. Other cultures will encourage homesteading to take advantage of unclaimed, but all of a sudden out of nowhere, fertile landscape. Just like Triaxis changes with its orbit, so too do the Triaxians. Triaxians born when the planet is closer to the sun, known as summer-born, tend to have dark skin and relatively little hair, the better to regulate heat and protect against harmful solar radiation. Yet inevitably, the children and grandchildren of these people progressively are born with lighter skin and more hair, until in just a few generations, the winterborn, as they're called, are born with bodies coated in fine white fur, with eyes that narrow and elongate to protect against snow blindness. Triaxians born on other worlds will match wherever Triaxis is on the stars. So if your Triaxian lives on Galerion or Earth or Vulcan, I don't know what timeline you guys are hanging out in. If Triaxis is in its summer season, your Triaxian is born as a summerborn. If Triaxis is off far out in space, then you're a winterborn. There's a lot of information about all the planets in Galerion's solar system, just as much as like all of the planes in the world or all of the regions in the inner sea, or even really all the towns and all the regions of the inner sea. Maybe one day we'll get back in and dig into that, but for now, we're going to talk about the Triaxian as we see him on the character sheet. A Triaxian gains a +2 to his constitution and a +2 to his wisdom, but takes a -2 to his strength. These guys are considered to be hardy and wily, which befits their constantly changing environment, but their lean forms have trouble maintaining large amounts of muscle mass. They are medium creatures with a base speed of 30 feet that possess low light vision and a +2 bonus on perception checks. Triaxians also, get this, at first level, get to select 1 extra feat like a human. Yeah, let that sink in real quick. We all know how powerful humans are. A lot of people think humans are the best race in Pathfinder or in any RPG for that matter because of that crucial bonus feat. They're not alone in the galaxy. Looks like the Triaxians get that as well. Triaxians have a special ability called Seasoned. Depending on whether they're summerborn or winterborn, Triaxians suffer no harm from hot or cold environments. The summerborn can exist comfortably in conditions between 90 and 110 degrees without having to attempt fort saves due to the environment. Winterborn can exist comfortably in conditions between 40 and 0 degrees without having to attempt fortitude saves in the same way. When in conditions of severe cold or heat, Triaxians have to attempt fortitude saves only once per hour instead of once every 10 minutes. Transitional is a racial trait for the Triaxian, and it says that once per day, when we attempt a survival check to predict the weather, we can add a trait bonus equal to 3 plus half our character level, and in addition, you gain a +1 trait bonus to fort saves against the effects of cold and hot weather. Of course, again, if we take the transitional race trait, we lose the seasoned ability. Personally, I feel that the seasoned ability is a little more, flavorful. Haha, see what I did there? But it's all up to you. If you want to play a transitional Triaxian, far from me to stop you. How would I play this race? I am still kind of like, I see where it says bonus feat like a human. This race is incredibly powerful for that reason, and much like the human, they can do anything they want, with the caveat that they don't have to mess around with alternate racial traits to get a bonus to 2 ability scores. I don't care who you are, I don't care what you're playing, your constitution and your wisdom are always going to be really important, because at least at my tables, the will save is the most important save, and the save that will hurt you the most if you fail. Fort save's probably coming in around second place there, but I play a lot of high dex characters with evasion, so maybe I'm biased. Either way, that +2 to your con hands you extra hit points, and nobody doesn't need that. The penalty to strength means that a Triaxian chained barbarian is a little less good, but in my opinion, and you can see more about that right here, strength is probably the weakest of the ability scores in terms of character optimization. You can build around dex and be just as, if not sometimes more effective at doing damage in combat. Also, the ability to get a +2 bonus on perception checks, in addition to a +2 on our wisdom score, the ability of the perception check, is almost just as powerful as the skilled racial trait. Now, of course, if we're playing something like a human barbarian with terrible intelligence, having a 2+0 or worse -1 skills per level is pretty gnarly. But if we're playing something along the lines of like a rogue or a bard or somebody who's a little more skillful, we don't necessarily need that extra rank like a human does. And having a flat +2 to the most rolled skill in the game, yeah, no, you can't go wrong with that. But that's enough for me for today. That's just one man's opinion. After all, what do you guys think of the Triaxian? Would you play one of these guys? Are you as like combination in awe and surprised that they get a bonus feat unconditionally at first level as I am? Because I'm still just kind of like, what? Again, as always, be sure to like and subscribe for more content. The next episode of the Forgotten Race Review drops next Monday.